The Raxiom lower valance fog light kit here will appeal to those 2013 and 14 GT owners out there for a couple of different reasons. Now, maybe you've deleted the factory fog lights in the upper grille through a different aftermarket option, or maybe you just really dig the look of those California special cars and want to get that similar styling going on with your own S197. Whatever the case, the Raxiom kit here will include a new lower valance housing and fog light insert, along with the plug-and-play wiring for right around 170 bucks, making this a very affordable kit, but also one that's very easy to install. In fact, the site's going to call this a solid 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here, and about an hour or so to get everything knocked out. And we'll show you how it's done a little later on in the video. So this is going to be a really attractive modification for those S197 GT owners out there who are, again, either looking for a little bit more lighting or maybe trying to recreate that iconic California special styling. The kit from Raxiom is going to feature excellent fit and finish for that mid $100 price point, and best of all, will not require any cutting, removal of the front bumper, or any extra wiring. Instead, everything, again, will be completely plug and play here. But with all that said, let's take a closer look at some of your components here with the Raxiom kit. And honestly, this thing is going to be comprised of 2 to 3 major components, right? You have your fog light housings here on the ends, going to replace the OE plastic in that lower valance, along with the fog light assemblies themselves, which will mount to the housings. And then last but not least, your plug and play included wiring here. Now the housing is going to be made from durable ABS black plastic, gives off a very factory styled appearance. And the fog lights themselves are going to utilize an H11 style halogen bulb, which have been included for you, by the way. Now there have been a couple of very small nitpicks with this kit as far as those H11 bulbs, halogen bulbs, not being bright enough right out of the box. And my answer for those owners is simply swap out the H11 included halogen bulbs for an H11 style LED in place. And honestly, not only would it be much brighter, but in my humble opinion, will flow much better with the factory HIDs on these 13 and 14 GTs anyway. So easy fix, affordable, you can find those online anywhere, including here. Now, why the 13 and 14 GT? Well guys, again, the wiring harness will tap in to the factory fog light harness in your GT, basically those grill mounted fog lights. So that's why it's plug and play and recommended only for those 13 and 14 GT owners out there. However, if you have a V6 and you're pretty handy with wiring, you could always make these work as well. Just know that they won't be completely plug and play. Also guys, because these things do mount, or I should say wire into your factory fog light harness for operation, it's not essentially possible to run these in addition to those grill mounted fog lights at the same time without making modifications to the wiring, which people have done, by the way. If you cruise on over to the customer review section, check out some of those customer submitted images, you will see guys have done it. It's not impossible, but again, if we're sticking to the plug and play wording here, simply using this with this kit will not allow those factory fog lights to function properly without wiring modification. So because of that, the site is going to recommend picking up those Boss style fog light deletes. They're pretty cool. You can find them here on the site. They do basically mount in place in the factory grill where your fog lights used to be, giving you that very Boss 302 style look. So again, check those out on the site. If you are going with this kit, you're going to delete those fogs altogether, or if you've gone with an aftermarket style grill, then this isn't an issue whatsoever. Everything will jive properly. But as promised guys, we want to show you how everything gets installed on your S197 GT and just show you how painless this kit really is. So without further ado, here is a brief little walkthrough along with a quick tool breakdown.
Tools used for this install are a ratchet, 8mm socket, 7mm socket, and a small flathead screwdriver. So the first step of this install is actually going to be to remove this lower belly pan. There are 17 7mm screws that need to be removed, so let's get started. Okay, now that you have access to the back side of your front bumper from the lower half, you're going to want to remove these 2 valance panels here. They're clipped into place. There's 2 here on the bottom, 2 in the middle, and 1 at the top. You just have to bend them out of the way. and apply pressure to pull them back. So once you have the factory insert removed from the back of the bumper, you can install the provided bezel. There are still these 5 tabs, as well as there are 4 screw holes that are going to be used to mount this bezel into place. So I'm going to line up my tabs and my screw holes. And then with a little bit of pressure, I can just push things down. So once you have your new fog light bezel installed into the back of the bumper, you can install the provided hardware. They are small 8mm screws. It's a good idea to start them by hand, and then I'm going to take my 8mm socket and then tighten them down. Now it's time to install the fog light mounting bracket that includes the fog light already installed in it. There are 4 screw holes on the back of the fog light bezel that we previously installed into the bumper. These 3 here along these 3 corners, and then all the way up here at the top there's the 4th one. It's a little hard to see when the fog light's installed, but just know that it's up there and you have to install the 8mm screw into place once it's in. I'll just line up my alignment dowels and pre-install my screws, and then I can tighten them down with an 8mm socket. You may need a short extension with your 8mm socket to get to the top screw, and just put that on there and you can tighten it down. So as we move into the wiring portion of this install, it's important to note that by installing this fog light kit, we are going to be eliminating the use of the factory fog lights because we're going to be unplugging them, plugging in an extension harness and running it down to our newly mounted fog lights. Now, if you really wanted to maintain both sets of fog lights, you'd have to do a little bit of custom wiring by tapping into your power and ground and running it separately to your new fog lights. However, for the demonstration purposes of this video, we're going to install it as per the kit provided. So what I'm going to do now is unplug the fog light here. I'm going to use a small flathead screwdriver just to pull the tab down. And then once I have that unplugged, I'll install my extension harness and run it to my new fog light. And then we'll just have to zip tie the excess wiring up and out of the way. And now I'll just repeat this process on the other side of the vehicle. All right, now I'm just going to remove the panel just like I did on the other side of the vehicle. Now I can install my new bezel just like I did on the other side, lining up all the tabs and the screw holes, and then locking it into place. And once again, with provided hardware, I'm going to get the screws started in the screw holes, and then I'll tighten them down with my 8mm socket. Now I can install my fog light assembly onto my new trim bezel and install the screws. With both of your new fog lights installed and you've made sure to test everything and make sure that it's working properly, you can go ahead and reinstall your belly pan and reinstall the screws that hold it into place. And that's going to wrap up this review and install of the Raxiom lower valence fog light kit for your 2013 to 14 Mustang GT. Thanks for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.